from their encounters with races from other planets. The information is the activation. Let's awaken this world together. We are the forever students, and we will not be silent. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. It's pretty wild. Welcome, everybody, to Full Spectrum Universe. My name is Rob Yox. We are the embattled broadcast that explores the past while remaining in the present to dictate the terms of our future. When we invest ourselves into the information then becomes the activations, and we are the ones that we have been waiting for. Look at Sugar Bee, 18-month member. Thank you for all of your love and support, Sugar Bee. So good to see you. TL, Daryl, Jason, and everybody else in the chat. If you're jumping in, say hi. We have super chats open if you want to support the broadcast. You can become a member for monies off on the events that we do and the ticket prices. Also, when the merch comes out, you'll be getting discounts off that as well. Chantel, good to see everybody. Bringing back the old band. The old family's coming back in, and I feel it. We're on a surge again, and we're moving towards this epiphanic moment of where humanity is going to take the reins, and we're going to dictate these terms of what New Earth looks like. Last night we did the intro to the Pyramid Wars. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Pyramid Wars and why this is such a moment in time. Reasons being is, to start off with, first we discussed exactly what the division of the land, Sandra, good to see you, the division of the land from all of the different deities that lived amongst this time. But this is what gives humanity its fighting chance to push back all of these entities to really gain their independence from a lot of these systems that were in place with this slaver mentality that had been going on in the very early echelons of humanity. This is where we catch a break in the matrix. But after this becomes more recess, where we fall back victim to the matrix and the powers that be. But this is supposed to show us these glimmers of hope that we're riding into right now, right? Hello, Pamela. Good to see you. Nunu, good to see you too. That's right. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. We are the new earth. Absolutely, Nunu. Absolutely. And this is why we talk about this stuff, because most of us probably lived a lifetime in this era as well. And understanding what our potential was back then, from the Agigi down to humankind, what it is today, we should see that we have extraterrestrial roots, and these societies were built off of these deities, not only their genetical codes, but of their hierarchies that they've created, which we still follow today, which is pretty wild, right? So we're going to give a couple more minutes to let everybody file in. I shared this out everywhere. You should be doing the same. Please share this on every platform. It is platform friendly to share out all across the world. And please give us a like as well. And once the stream is finished, please go underneath the description and leave a comment. It helps boost the algorithm so that we can be seen by more people and we can awaken more people as we do that, right? Everybody has a threshold. I like to say this all the time. And certain things that are said actually engage them in this awakening, right? They may not be there just yet, but they're questioning things. So they hear something that resonates with them so vibrantly that now they want to investigate. Now they want to see what's on that other side, right? So, Andromeda, good to see you. So this is why we do what we do here. This is what Full Spectrum Universe is all about. Not only do we go through these points in history that have been hidden from us, there's reasons why they're hidden from us. There's reasons why they don't want us connecting ancient Sumeria to biblical text, to the ancient Chinese, to the ancient Native American. There's a reason for that. Because if we break down their points of division to see that we all came from the same place, then their plans go awry from Jump Street, which is what we're also trying to do, right? So, with all that being said, Let's get to the information at hand. This is what we love to do, breaking it down, the Pyramid Wars. So a quick overview is last night we told you that there was certain areas that were enlisted by certain gods as their domains. There was one that was mission control, which essentially was either the bridge to the Stargate or where the craft that were coming from Nibiru had landed, and the Anunnaki were the only ones to live in this area. We even maybe theorized that it could have been Eden itself because it is the Sinai Peninsula. So there's a lot that we went over last night. You do not have to watch last night's episode to jump into this tonight and get something out of it. I promise you that. I've made this a standalone video, but last time it was last night was a lot of fun too because we streamed to Facebook again for the first time in a long time, and we had a good time doing it, bringing some more people to the family. That's the goal. That's the mission. Let's jump in. So we start in the year 363. His Majesty Ra. Now, this is again BC. So Ra is considered the Holy One, the Falcon of the Horizon, the immortal who forever lives. This was in the land of Kem, right? So he was accompanied by his warriors. Now, again, we talked about these entities going from one to the other. And actually, let me pull up something that you will find quite interesting. And when I basically found this, I was like, this is perfect. Let me find this PDF I have. And this PDF is going to be epic. I'm wondering if you can see it here now. Let's have a look. It is not there yet. So I'm going to share my screen yet again so you can see exactly what we're looking at here. So I'm sure you all see it now. This is what we know to be, and you have to go full screen for this. I can zoom in a little bit, but if I zoom in too much, it's not going to be too good, right? So let's zoom in a little bit here. So this shows you the translations from the Anunnaki, the Egyptian, the Greek, the Roman, and then the equivalent of the biblical text and who these entities are and how they were passed through time. This is a comparative mythology, right, of the time. So we can see the differences in who these people are and the characteristics that match to these other entities that are in through time. So we have or Anu becomes Sobek in Egyptian, Cronus in Greek. I'm sorry, it's actually yeah, no, that's right. It's and the last one's the biblical text. So Cronus is actually the Greek and the Roman there. It doesn't seem like it's all Roman, but there's biblical text. So Rome becomes Saturn. And as you can see, we have Untu or Untum, Mut, Ra, Selby, Nana, Osiris, Dionysus, and Bacchus. And then Hersog becomes Neith, Athena, Minerva. Dominica is a crazy name for me to even say. Let's see if I can try and pronounce it. It's Cholitiku, maybe. I probably missed a few syllables there, but Hermifrit or Hestia, Vesta. And as we get further down, we see Jehovah, Enoch, Metatron. Not everyone has that next step because a lot of these entities left Earth after the Roman Empire, which brings us to the Abrahamic religions, and only a few remained to craft the Abrahamic religions into the new era, right? We see Marduk, Ra or Horus, Apollo, Nergal, Anubis, Hades, Pluto. I mean, we've got everybody. Thoth, Hermes, Mercury, and that's Ningshizadad, which is another name. Ninlil or Nut, Hera or Juno. Ningal, Isis, Demeter or Ceres, right? So we've got Typhus, got everybody. Ares, Mars, Anhar, Ninhurta, which we're going to talk a little bit about later. So that was that, right? Let me stop sharing this screen and get back to what we were talking about here. So you'll see that now. We're going to add this back to the stage. So Sobek the crocodile, they all have animals that run with those entities. But that was a full breakdown of comparative mythology, right? That's something that people have been working on for a long time, creating these timelines to see these entities and how they maneuver through the ancient civilizations. So we start with Ra again, and basically he has his warriors, and they had conspired against their lord, and their lord was Horus, the winged measurer, and that came to the boat of Ra. Right? He said to his forefather, "O falcon of the horizon, I have seen the enemy conspire against thy lordship to take the luminous crown unto themselves." So then Ra, the Holy One, the falcon of the horizon, said to Horus, the winged measurer, "Lofty issue of Ra may be gotten. Go quickly, knock down the enemy whom have seen." Thus begun the tale inscribed on the temple walls in the ancient Egyptian city of Edfu, right? And it's the tale that we believe of what could be called the First Pyramid War, a war that had its roots in a never ending struggle for control over Earth and also its space facilities and in the shenanigans of these great Anunnaki, right? Especially the Enki or Ptah, which is Ptah, and his sons Ra and Marduk. So, according to Menetho, Ptah turned over the dominion over Egypt after a reign of 9,000 years. But the reign of Ra was cut short after 1,000 years. Now, here is a fact that goes along with this that we know from mainstream history, whether it's true or not. When when Ptah was the leader for that 9,000 years, the other deities were essentially revered as well. When Ra takes control, Ra becomes the end all be all, the sun god, the giver of life, right? But the reign of Ra was cut short after 1,000 years by the deluge itself. So this we have concluded from our different struggles and the different tablets that we've deciphered, from the Emerald Tablet to the Book of the Dead to the ancient Apocrypha. I mean, there's so many different books that talk about these reigns, right? The King's List of ancient Egypt, we know that too. Then there followed a reign of 700 years by Shu, Ashu, who helped Ra control the skies over Earth. And then the 500-year reign of Jeb. And Jeb means who piles up the earth, right? It was at the time of 10,000 BC that the space facilities and the spaceport and the Sinai and the Giza pyramids were built, which we talked about in detail last night. What they're really fighting over: mission control and this landing strip, this space station. Because those who control this, right, have the ability to control what comes and goes from Nibiru. So it's important, right? And the Giza pyramids were supposed to remain neutral under the aegis of Ninhershag, right? It's doubtful whether the builders of these facilities, Enki and his descendants, had really any intention of relinquishing control over these installations. A Sumerian text which begins an idyllic description has been named by scholars a paradise myth. We've gone over this one before in some of our older videos. It's an ancient name, right? And it was Enki and Ninhursag. And it is, in fact, a record of the politically motivated lovemaking between the two that we hear about, and a tale that deals between Enki and his half sister, Ninhursag. pertaining to the control of Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula, or and of the pyramids and the spaceport. So this tale is after Earth was apportioned between the Anunnaki, with Tilmun, which is the Sinai Peninsula, granted to Nehursag, and Egypt to Enki's clan. It was then that the Sumerian tale relates that Enki crossed the marshy lakes that separated Egypt and the Sinai Peninsula and came unto the lonely Ninhursag for an orgy and lovemaking. Right? Wild, wild stuff. So here is what the text actually says. So you can get your own understanding of what's being said here, and you can create your own interpretation of it, right? To the one who is alone, the lady of life, mistress of the land, Enki came unto the wise lady of life. He causes his phallus to water the dikes. He causes his phallus to submerge the reeds. Right? We can all get understand his description of what he's saying, right? He's trying to wet his whistle here, right? He poured his semen into the great lady of the Anunnaki, poured the semen into the womb of Nehursag. She took the semen into the womb, the semen of Enki. Right? It's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's not really there's not really too much undercover here. So pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So now we get to Enki's real intention, right? This was to obtain a son by his half sister, but the offspring was a daughter. Isn't it so many times we hear this in mythology? They want to commune to have a son, yet a daughter is born, the balance of the universe, right? Intentions that are ill afoot often go awry. I don't know if that's a real saying or if I just made it up in my head, but it sounds good, right? Intentions that we often have malfeasance in them often don't go as planned, right? So Enki then made love to the daughter as soon as she became young and fair, and then to his granddaughter as well. Because of his intentions, the universe was not granting him a male to take control or to create an alliance with. And as a result of these sexual activities, a total of 8 gods were created. 6 female and 2 male were born. Angered by the incest, Ninharsag used her medical skills to sicken Enki. Thank God somebody did it, right? That's way crazy, way crazy. Now, back in these times, this wasn't so unheard of, where the royals would marry their sisters or their mothers and create lines that they believed were pure. Maybe they got that from the Anunnaki, and it was passed into the halls of Rome and England, and I mean, just a really shitty practice, to be honest. But so the, the Anunnaki who were with him pleaded for his life. Ninhursag was determined, until he is dead, I shall not look upon him with the eye of life. So, satisfied that Enki had indeed been finally stopped, Ninruta, who went to Tilmul for inspection, returned to Mesopotamia to report the developments at a meeting attended by Enlil, right? So Nana or Sin or Uta and Shamash and Ayana or Ishtar, unsatisfied, Enlil ordered Ninruta to return to Tilmun and bring back Ninhursag with him. But in the interim, Ninhursag had pity on her brother and changed her mind. So Ninhursag sealed Enki by her vulva and asked, my brother, what hurts thee? After she cured his body part by part, Enki proposed that the two of them, as the masters of Egypt and the Sinai, assigned tasks, spouses, and territories to the young 8 gods that they had created through this ancestral bondage, right? So this is what it reads. Let Abu be the master of the plants. Let Nintula be the lord of the Magan. Let Ninsutu marry Nenazu. Let Ninkashi be she who sates the thirst. Let Nazi marry Nindara. Let Azumia marry Ninzigadad. And let Nintu be the queen of the months. Let Enshag be the lord of Tillman. Now he gets his male heir and wants it to control the Sinai Peninsula. So this was the real intention of what's happening here, right? This is what they're shooting for. Did Enki have a beer belly? I mean, I don't know, right? Maybe he did. I hope this is a metaphor. Um, I can't say it is. These entities are from off planet, and their rituals and practices are not, you know, they're not the greatest, to be quite honest. And I apologize that you had to sit there and listen to it, but it is an important point of the story. And because of the actions of Enki, you know, which is crazy because there are people on Earth today who go back now and revere Enki as the liberator, right? They are out there saying things about Enki as if he had made mistakes, yet he's coming back to Earth to liberate us in the present. Now, if you do any deep dive of history and you read some of these tales, you will see that these entities all reside within shades of gray. They are not good, they are not bad. They have agendas at play, mostly to garner power. Because the new land, which was Earth, from their home planet, now they want to use their power to surmise against the creation of humanity, right? So when people go onto the YouTube right now, you can find multiple people saying Enki will be the one to liberate us. This is that. I can't follow that. I can't follow that logic. There is a lot of things to make up for along that line, which we just read about. Yet people are devoting themselves to this. Some are devoting themselves to Enlil as well. It's actually created a spiritual division within this community of ancient historians and spiritual people who are trying to give how the universe works to others, but they're picking sides, right? This broadcast has never picked a side. We've had all those people on. We'll have them on again to tell their tales, and that's fine, to tell their stories, not their tales, but their stories. Because whether they believe that or not is not up to me. It's not up to me to judge. It's not up to me to say. It's not up to anybody to judge. Maybe they see something we don't, right? But at the same time, we also have to, you know, we also have to give people grace to explore their own paths, right? And to go down their own roads because this is how we all learn. Well, not interviews per se with Enki himself, but they say that they're having communications with Enki, and Enki has resided right outside of our planet, waiting to come back, right, and waiting to help humanity. Now, again, they could just be tools or being used as a tool for Enki to reestablish dominance like he wanted before. Look at the lengths he went to defile his own family members to take control of certain areas on the planet, right? It's crazy. I mean, maybe Scott. I mean, I can't say yes or no, but that's it's a point, right? Maybe, maybe, and you know what? I'm not faulting these people for what they believe either, because all of us have our own little unique quirks about this spiritual awakening and what we believe in it, right? Our perspectives are no less important than theirs, and their perspectives are no less important than ours. That grace has to be given. That's how we expand on our information and our base of information. Because while they may be wrong in some areas, they may be right in others. There's something to learn from everybody. And that's truly what I believe. So I'm not going to sit here and badmouth these people either, because that's not, it's it's not my place to. I'm not judge. I'm not jury. I'm not an arbiter for anybody's specific truth. It is whoever wants to indulge in those things, be my guest. It's totally fine, and I would even encourage you to do that, because maybe you'll listen to it and you'll say I'm down with this, or maybe you'll listen to it and say I'm not down with this at all. But either way, you figured out what was good for you, right? And that's the purpose here. Even the information we're saying today is only one interpretation of what I'm seeing. And again, it may not be the most accurate or right, but from what I'm reading is and what my understanding is of this is what I believe, right? And again, I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all either. So there's a lot to be said here. But let us digress back into what we were talking about, because it's important to get here, right? So we're looking at Enki's intention. I'm going to move it to the next slide and keep going, right? And Seth we'll talk about in a moment. But Egyptian theologists, there's theological texts from Memphis, likewise held there came into being 8 gods from the heart, tongue, teeth, lips, and other parts of Ptah. And in this text too, as in the Mesopotamian one, Ptah followed up bringing forth of these gods by assigning adobes and territories to them, expanding Enki's empire in this moment, right? Because they're his offspring. So they ultimately answer to him. He becomes the Ra figure in this moment, right? So after he had formed the gods, he made cities, established districts, and put these gods in their sacred adobes. Now, when he says sacred adobes, we could see that as spaceships or, castles on the hill for these cities, could be a metaphor for either or, right? So he built their shrines and established their offerings. All that he did to make rejoice the heart of the mistress of life. He wanted to appease Ninhursag again, right? And as it appears, these tales had a bias, in fact, that the rivalries that such confused patronages brought about could only be aggravated by the sexual shenanigans attributed to Ra as well, right? We see that crossover. So the most significant among these was the assertion that Osiris was truly the son of Ra and not Geb or Geb, Geb, right? Conceived when Ra had come by stealth unto his own granddaughter. This, as we have related to you already, lay at the core of the Osiris Seth conflict. So, why had Seth, to whom Upper Egypt had been allotted by Jeb, coveted Lower Egypt, which was granted to Osiris? So, Egyptologists have offered explanations in terms of geography and the land's fertility, etc., right? But as we described it here, there was one more factor, one that, from the God's point of view, was more important than how many crops a region could grow. The Great Pyramid and its companions at Giza. Whoever controlled them shared in the control of the space activities and of the comings and goings of the gods and of the vital supply link from the 12th planet, or Nibiru, right? So for a while, Seth succeeded in his ambition, having outwitted Osiris. But in the year 363, following the disappearance of Osiris, the young Horus became the avenger of his father and launched a war against Seth. This, again, is the first Pyramid War. It was as if they had seen this first war in which almost all the gods that were on the planet got involved, and their men as well. Supported by others, Enki gods reigning in Africa, The Avenger Horus began the hostilities in Upper Egypt, aided by the winged disc that Thoth had fashioned for him. Horus persistently advanced northward towards the pyramid. A major battle took place here. And this is in the water district, right? So the chain of the lakes that separated Egypt from the Sinai Peninsula was where a good many of Seth's followers were slain. After peacemaking efforts by other gods had failed, Seth and Horus exchanged in personal combat in over the Sinai Peninsula. Actually, I'm sorry, it was horns, right? And in the course of one battle, Seth hid in secret tunnels somewhere in the peninsula. In another battle, he lost his testicles, so the Council of the Gods gave the whole of Egypt as heritage to Horus, right? And what became of Seth, one of the eighth gods descended from Ptah? He was banished from Egypt and took up an adobe in the Asiatic lands to the east, including a place that enabled him to speak out from the sky. Was he the god called Enshog in the Sumerian tales of Enki and Ninurshag, the one to whom Tilmun, or the Sinai Peninsula, was allotted by the two lovemakers? If so, then he's the Egyptian Hametic, right? Hametic is the name, God who had extended his domain over the land of Shem and later known as Canaan. So we see how this is getting to the Bible verses, right? The land of Canaan. Even the Greeks talk about the land of Canaan. It was in the outcome of the first pyramid war that there lies an understanding of these biblical tales. Therein also lays cause of the second pyramid war, right? There isn't just one, there is two. Actually, I think there's quite a few more than that, but so as we're seeing this unfold, right? This is really what every god has taken part in this epic, right? In this crazy battle that goes all over from space to pyramids to, yeah, very much so. And actually, Sugar Bee put Omar's new channel in the chat. Please go and subscribe to our brother Omar's channel. It's called WTF. What am I eating? What the F am I eating? Right? It's awesome. Omar is moving in a new direction with this, but it is absolutely critical that we support him at the infancy stage of this, because it's going to be something that is going to change your vessel and how you eat all the time. I can tell you that much so far. That's all I've got info wise, but I will give you more when the time comes. We will be promoting all of that here as well. So, again, like, share, subscribe, please. Also, leave a comment when this is finished underneath the description. We have a question here, and are these wars primarily about Stargate dimensional access and control? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That is the main goal in this. These entities believed that they were going to rule Earth for the foreseeable future. There was no relinquishing control to somebody else. Their progeny would live on forever, and they would be the ones to keep us in the matrix as of right now. So they thought, right? Crazy, crazy. So as we keep going here, and I know it's a lot of slides, and I'll bring myself up every now and again, but the information is more important. So, in addition to the spaceport and the guidance facilities that were also a need after the deluge for a new mission control center to replace the one that had existed before the Nippur, or before a Nippur, right? There's basically they called these places the stairway to heaven, and they needed to be equidistant from other space related facilities, dictating its locating of the Mount Moria, or the Mount of Directing, the site of the future city of Jerusalem. Now, again, no such thing as coincidence, right? They wanted to control the area known as the city of Jerusalem, where I believe the Temple Mount resides, correct? Yeah, I think so. So that site, by both Mesopotamian and biblical accounts, was located in the lands of Shem, a dominion of the uh, Elamites, right? So we have stuff from the Bible saying the Canaanites. There's the Enkyites and the Enliliites, right? So those for Enlil, those for Enki. Yet it ended under an illegal occupation by the line of Enki, the Hamitic gods, and by the descendants of the Hamitic Canaans. So the Old Testament refers to the land of which Jerusalem in time became the capital as Canaan, and after the fourth and youngest son of his descendants to be subservient to the descendants of Shem. The improbable excuse for this treatment was that Ham, not his son Canaan, had inadvertently seen the naked genitals of his father Noah. Therefore, the Lord had put a curse upon Canaan. Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall be unto his brethren. Blessed be Yahweh, the God of Shem. May Canaan be servant unto them. The tale in the book of Genesis leaves many aspects unexplained. Why was Canaan accursed if it was his father who had accidentally transgressed? Why was his punishment to be a slave of Shem and to the God of Shem? And how were the gods involved in the crime and its punishment? As one reads the supplemental information in the ex biblical books of Jubilees, it becomes clear that that the real offense was the illegal occupation of Shem's territory. So now we get to the next one, which is after mankind was dispersed and its various clans allotted the lands, right? So this is from the book of Jubilees, right? Ham and his sons went to the land which he was to occupy, which he had acquired as his portion in the country of the south. But then, journeying from where Noah had been saved to his allotted land in Africa, Canaan saw the land of Lebanon, which is called all the way down to the river of Egypt, that it was very good. And so he changed his mind, and he went not into the lands of his inheritance to the west of the sea, or west of the Red Sea. He dwelt instead in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward of the Jordan. His father and his brothers tried to dissuade Canaan from such an illegal act. And Ham, his father, and Cush and Mizraim, his brothers, said unto him, Thou hast settled in a land which is not thine, and which did not fall to us by lot. Do not do so. For if thou do, for if thou dost do so, thou and thy sons will be fallen in the land and be accursed through sedition by the sedition ye had settled, and by sedition with thy children fall. And thou shalt be rooted out forever. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and his sons it did come their lot. Were he to illegally occupy the territory assigned to Shem, which they pointed out, cursed art thou, and cursed thou shalt be beyond the sons of Noah. By the curse which we bound ourselves by an oath in the presence of the holy judge and in the presence of Noah, our father. So when they made these oaths to the land, because of the vibrational presence of these original men, there was a connecting to this land. And things would happen, like they would say a curse, but would know it now to be a shift in energy, because you are not in a land that is that is appointed to you by the holy of holies of the holy, right? So there's a lot of vibrational and frequency type of situations that are arising here as well, right? So, but Canaan did not hearken unto them, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon from Hamath, and to the entering of Egypt, he and his sons until this day. For this reason is that the land named Canaan, right? So behind the biblical and pseudo epigraphical tale of a territorial usurpation by descendants of Ham must lie a tale of a similar usurpation by the descendants of gods of Egypt, right? Because we're matching this comparative mythology. We must bear in mind that at the time the allotment of lands and territories was not among the peoples but among the gods. And the gods are not people, they were the landlords, right? So the people could only settle a territory allotted to their god, and could not, like, they could occupy other territories, but only if they had the extended it by their god, or their god has extended their domain, by agreement or by force. Illegal seizure of this area between the spaceport in the Sinai and the landing place at Baalbek by the descendants of Ham could have occurred if this area had been usurped by a descendant of the Hamitic deities or by a younger god of Egypt, right? So, and that, as we just basically went out in detail, was indeed the result of the first Pyramid War, right? So, as we keep going here, there is so much more to go that we may have to make a part two of this, because we're already at 45 minutes. We're not even halfway done here, guys. I made 10 slides for tonight because I knew we wouldn't even get through everything. So some of this is going to have to be relayed tonight. Some of it will have to be relayed maybe on Sunday, or no, tomorrow, Sunday, maybe early Monday or Tuesday. That would be the next time we'll do another one of these shows and really dive in. I think we've gotten into a really, really epic area, because what we're doing right now is we're taking ancient Greek, ancient Mesopotamian, ancient Polynesian, ancient the Phoenician, ancient Egyptian, and ancient Abrahamic stuff, and making it all the same, right? It's all diving into the same exact story, but the names have changed and maybe some small minor details here and there. But truly, this is an epic tale, and this tale sets a precedent forever, which we're breaking right now, right? This is where the division comes from. Even at the inception, right? It becomes something even more, right? And again, you can look at it in a realistic standpoint, and as Robert just said down here, you can look at it from a spiritual standpoint. Think about the aspects of what we just talked about, right? As it relates to you, your soul, your consciousness, and your vessel, right? And what the mission control would be, right? Your link to the upper echelons of consciousness, your third eye, right? And who would be the Canaans, the ones, and maybe it's the preservatives in food clogging your third eye, or occupying your pineal gland by calcifying it, right? And now it takes it's a usurpation of you, right? There is so many different ways we can look at this. The subtext is in the eye of the beholder. It's wild. It's wild. Because if we look at it from a physical standpoint of one solid person, while yes, we're talking about different places on the map, we could also look at what those places resonate at, what the ley line construction looks like, and the energy centers that are there, and why this is such an important place as well. We can go into the geographical aspects of it, right? Crazy. There's a lot. There's a lot to go through here, right? So we got about 5 more minutes tonight, and then from there we will pick up next time. So let's keep going back in here. Let's go back to it. So basically, what we're talking about is this that was the ending of the first pyramid war, right? So Seth trespasses into Canaan meant that all the space related sites at Giza and the Sinai Peninsula, also Jerusalem, came under control of the Enki gods. It was developed in which the Elenites could not acquiesce this, right? And so soon after, 300 years later, we believe that they deliberately launched a war to dislodge the illegal occupiers from the vital space facilities. This is the second pyramid war and is described in several texts that are found in the original Sumerian and others in the Akkadian and the Assyrian renderings, and scholars refer to these texts as the myths of Kur, Kur, myths of the mountain lands. And they are, because in fact, poetically rendered chronicles of the war to control the space related peaks in Mount Moriah, right? The Hershag, or Mount St. Catherine in the Sinai, and the artificial Mount the Ekor, the Great Pyramid in Egypt. And it's clear from the texts that the Elenites' forces were led and commanded by Ninruta, Enlil's foremost warrior, and that the first encounters were in the Sinai Peninsula. The Hamitic gods were beaten there, and but they retreated to continue the war from the mountain lands of Africa. And Ninrutu rose to the challenge, and in the second phase of the war carried the battle to the strongholds of his foes. That phase then detailed vicious and ferocious battles. Then, in its final phase, the war was fought at the Great Pyramid, and the last impregnable stronghold of Ninruta's opponents. There, the Hamitic gods were besieged until they ran out of food and water. This war, which we call the Second Pyramid War, was commemorated extensively in Sumerian records, both written and chronological pictorial depictions, right? So Himes and Neruta contain numerous references to his feats and heroic deeds in this war. A great part of the Psalms, like A New Art Thou Made, is devoted to record of the struggle and that final victory. But the principle of the most direct chronicle of this war is that the epic text of the Lugal e Ud Malam Bai, best collated and edited by Samuel Geller in the I can't even say this one either, but it's the in the Al-Turan Talishus text in the Uder Shugengag, like all Mesopotamian texts, and it is so titled after the opening line. King, the glory of thy day is lordly. Ninrutu, foremost possessor of the divine powers, who into the throes of the mountain land stepped forth, like a flood which cannot be stopped. The enemy lands as with girdle you tightly bound. Foremost one, who in the battle vehemently enters. Hero in the hands of the divine, brilliant weapons carries. Lord, the mountain land you should subdue as your creature. Ninrutu, the royal son, whose father to him had given might. Hero in the fear of thee, the city has surrendered. O mighty ones, the great serpent, the heroic god. You tore away from all the mountains, right? So next time, we're going to be talking about Ninruta and all of these brilliant weapons that he brought forth. What were they? Was it technology? What does this mean, right? This is where we stand at this moment. So, with all that being said, I want to thank all of you for stopping by tonight. Please leave a comment in under the description after the stream is offline, not in the chat. It's to help boost the algorithm. If you haven't, please like, share, subscribe, and get this out to all of the peoples who love history. Bring them into the fold. This is a family operation here. We are an operation. Much what people want to say, you're the ops. No, we are an operation. We're Operation Human, right? We're Operation Ascension. We are Operation Human Future. This is what we are. This is what we will always do. We will archive all of this from the past that has been hidden from us to give our progeny a fighting chance at the pro human future. I got agita because I'm saying it so much. I love you all so very much. Some of you I know personally, some of you I don't. I still love you, right? We are the ones that we have been waiting for. If not us, then who, right? We're the beacons of light. We need to shine that light across the world in a great wave, right? The great lighting of the beacons. Also, the information becomes the activation. I love you all. I hope everybody has a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you all in the next few days for part 2. Thank you all so very much. Have a great, great evening.